David. It's good to have you today with us, and I believe that during this season of lockdown, you've been taking some time to pray and listen to what God would say. So just feel free to share that with us today.
Yes, thank you very much, Tommy, just for this opportunity. I was really just going to begin by asking people, what is the greatest gift, do you think, that God has ever given to you? I suspect if you asked a whole lot of people that, you would get a lot of different answers. But if you were to ask me that question, I think that I would probably say that listening to God, if it's not the greatest gift that God has ever given me, then it certainly must be one of the greatest and very near the top of the list. Because prayer really is not just talking to God. Most of us talk far too much actually in prayer. It is also listening to God and giving him an opportunity to speak to us. Now, last weekend, I decided that I was going to take time and ask God how he wants Equipping for Life to develop. He was the one who brought the ministry into being, so there's nobody better person to ask for that advice. So I took time on both Saturday and Sunday just to be quiet, didn't talk very much, just asked one or two questions. And whenever I asked the Lord how he saw the ministry developing, almost immediately he said to me, I don't want you to focus all of the time on the areas that you're still working in. The Shankill, where you started, Rathcoole, Monkstown, Lisburn, Taughmona, and Wheatfield. Still keep working in those places, but I want you now to take the ministry out into the whole of Northern Ireland. Now, wasn't that a marvelous way to really start asking the Lord how he wanted the ministry to develop? And so that gave me encouragement to go on and ask him and say, we're not doing very much work actually with teenagers. What advice would you give us about that? And again, almost immediately he came back, go into secondary schools. That will give you the atmosphere and the structure, a place where you have an opportunity to make a real contribution to the well-being, the education, the lives of those young people. And then uninvited, he gave me a third area of ministry to focus on, and that was to develop within Equipping for Life a group of people who would be called Friends of Equipping for Life. They could be lay people, clergy, they could be churches, organizations, whoever, but their whole general purpose is to support the organization of Equipping for Life, promoting it, receiving our literature, sending that literature out to other people, praying for the ministry, maybe making an occasional financial contribution. And then when I had finished and got those three answers from the Lord, I felt him say again, that's enough for today. If you make a start on developing those three areas of the ministry, that will keep you busy for some time to come. Now, the reason that I've shared that with you today is that those of you who are listening to this, you may have a difficulty in your life. You may have an important decision to make and you're not too sure what direction to go in. It may well be actually that whenever lockdown is lifted, life will be very different for you than before it started, and you're not too sure what direction it's going to go in. Why don't you take time just to be quiet before the Lord and ask him for his advice and listen and hear what he says? And if you feel that you're not very good at listening to the Lord, then I have a bit of advice for you. Ask him to give you that gift.
That's great, David, and many thanks for your time today.
Not at all.